Welcome back to the Notary Podcast hosted by me, Daniel C. Lewis. I am so happy to have you back with us this week. And if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. We love doing this for you. Love seeing you back each and every week. And definitely put your comments in at the bottom of the screen or right below. This week, we have a very, very great topic like we have every week. But this week, I was looking so forward to doing this topic. But before we even get to that, each week I try to analyze or bring up a book that I'm reading or a tool that I'm using in my notary business. And this week, I'm very excited about this tool I want to share with you today. It's written by one of my good friends, Bill Soroka. He's known as the Notary Coach, and I have given this book away. It's one of his many books. He's written several books, but this is one book I've given away, and I think this is one of the most, it's in my top 10 tools if you're a notary entrepreneur that you can use to really build your business. And I can't stress how much I highly recommend this book, whether you're a brand new notary or a very seasoned notary. In fact, just a couple of months ago, I had a notary that came in, and she has been a notary for even longer than I have been a notary. She came in and for over 22 years. She said, oh, business is very slow. She's known as more of a notary signing agent. And so she does a lot of real estate. And she came into the meetup. She said, oh, business is so slow. Last year, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but last year I only made $4,500 doing notary signing agent business. That's real estate. That's what she said. And then I had someone else come in who's actually leading the meetup. She's been in business for, I think, less than 4 years. She said, $4,500. I did $4,500 in the last 3 days of business. And that was a big contrast to the person that's been in business for 22 years and a person that's been in business for 4 years. And that's kind of what our topic is about today, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the person that's been in business for, I'd say, less than 4 years, I think she had this tool, and it's a tool that Bill Soroka written. It's called the Notary Business Building Challenge. And you can see it here. He has it kind of built like a funnel, and it's built like that for a certain reason. This is one of the, I give this book away at meetups. I can't stress how important this book is, whether you are a seasoned notary or a notary that has been in business for less than a day or so. This is an incredibly important notary resource. I would highly recommend. I think you can get this book on Amazon, or you can go to Bill's store. Just do a internet search on Bill Soroka, and that's Soroka. This book, it's a 90-day to get more clients, more income, and more confidence. Highly recommend this book for new notaries and also seasoned notaries that's just getting into just a glut or can't get past a certain stage of your business. And I just wanted to just give you just a brief summary of the book. First of all, it's a book that gives you tasks that you can do for the next 90 days of your business. And some of it is in fact, a lot of it is very good. In fact, in the book, he has free resources and tools that you can use. And this comes from the Notary Coach. And if you can see it here, if you want to pause your screen and then take a picture of that, he has free tools and resources you can use on that. Maybe I should hold that up for a little longer. This book is fantastic. And what the book is about, it's about giving you resources, giving you tasks, giving you prompting you to do certain things each day for the next 90 days to build your notary business, whether you're seasoned or you're not, or you're just a person that's just getting involved in the business. And one of the things it has day 1, what to do, all the way through day 90. And it's a fantastic book to prompt you to do something with your business, to do something for your business. And there's this one excerpt I want to read, and this is right on page 3. And I wanted to read this because this really leads into our topic today. And it's the first sentence in the book. There's nothing more powerful than consistent action toward your goals and dreams. I'm going to read that again. There's nothing more powerful than consistent actions toward your goals and dreams. That is one of the most powerful statements, whether you're in a notary business, you are a janitor, whether you're a CEO, that statement, I think people should have that statement. In fact, I'm going to put that in my planner, my daily planner, because that is one of the most powerful statements I think you can ever have. In fact, I'll just read it one more time. There's nothing more powerful than consistent action toward your goals and dreams. So powerful, and that kind of leads us into what our topic is today. Just before I even get into the topic, just more things like I really like day 45. It starts off day 1. What is the day 1 task that he wants you to do? Just get to that day 1 task that you want, just to give you a contrast in what, because the task leads into each other. Day 1 task is Googling notary near me, finding out when you put in notary near me, if you're a notary entrepreneur, who comes up, and then figuring out how you can come up first. Day 45, I really like day 45 task, which is build your advisory board. And a lot of people think, well, what is advisory board? Advisory board could be someone like a certified public accountant, financial advisor, coach, general business coach, a therapist, a counselor, a specialized investment advisor, an attorney. So it's a lot. Those type of people could be on your advisory board. So this book covers a lot. I want to highly recommend. It's called the Notary Business Building Challenge. You can probably find it on Amazon or books for you. And also you can just look up Bill Soroka or www.notarycoach.com/90. And you can probably find this book there. So I can't highly recommend this book enough, which builds into what this subject is today. The topic today I want to talk about is procrastination. Procrastination is a business killer. And everybody suffers with procrastination. I suffer with procrastination. Every one of you suffer with procrastination, believe it or not, some form of procrastination. I'm going to tell you today how to, some of the things I do to help me overcome procrastination when I am doing my daily life. Because as a notary, most of my notary work is general notary work, where I go into hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living, long-term care. I do work for attorneys. I do I-9s. I do several car deals, and a lot of times doing it that way. And I also do real estate, and I teach classes. So my day gets pretty full. The type of notary business I have is where people call me immediately. They use that notary near me, say, hey, I need a notary right now. Like I just got a call right before I started this podcast to go to the hospital today to do a notarization. And sometimes that can really fill up your day. If I have, for example, I want to put some time in the day doing email marketing campaign, a social media marketing campaign, but then I get calls, you got to go to the hospital, you got to go to a rehab center, you have to do this thing for an attorney, you got to do a car deal. Sometimes your day gets so filled up that important tasks like social media, it gets put to the side. So if you don't have a very disciplined regimen on how to counteract that, because everything is important, doing those assignments is important. Also doing the other administrative stuff is important. You can get behind pretty quickly. So I'm going to go over some ways that I counter that and I fight against procrastination. So I want to talk about that because just recently, just to give you more of a personal experience that I've had just recently, and I've had this over the course of my career. Recently, I was working on a project, and it had three of us working on a project, three people work on this project for this event. And each month we would get together and we would talk about, each of us has our own tasks that we're doing to add to the project. And each of us, each month, had to come and say, this is what I'm experiencing, this is the obstacles I've had, this is how I overcome the obstacles. If you have any feedback for me to help me improve to get to my goal, I greatly appreciate it. And each of us came, and every month we met. Each of us gave our report on what we're doing, and we followed that kind of format. What we did, what obstacles we had, how we can overcome the obstacles. Here's our goal that we're looking at hitting. And each of us did that. And I've been on committees like that where, in this case, it was just three of us. I've been on committees where there's like 7, 8, 9, 10 of us. And I can now say, when I hear the words right before you doing your report, or the next person does their report, and that person comes up and says, okay, my report's going to be short and sweet. When I hear that, I immediately think now, oh, that person during the preparation time to come give this report, that person was affected by procrastination. If we give the person, like if you gave me 10 minutes to speak about my goals, how I'm going after my goals in the committee, what obstacles I'm hitting during my goals, how I'm overcoming those obstacles, how can you help me overcome those obstacles? What feedback can you give? That's my basic format. When I hear someone come and it's their time to do their report and they say, oh, it's going to be short and sweet, I did this, this, and that, and that's it, thank you. And they say that, what that tells me is they're bitten by the procrastination bug. They haven't really prepared for their report. They never ask questions of give me some ways I can improve. They never say anything about this is what obstacles I've come across and this is how I'm working to overcome the obstacles. They just says, I did this, that's it. Thank you. And if you give them 10 minutes to do a report, they only take 30 seconds or less to give the report. Even if you give them a 6-month span to prepare, they only take 30 seconds or less to do a report. That is a great indication that they are bitten by the procrastination bug. And in the case of recently, me and 2 other people were working on this project, and we had deadlines, we had meetings, and one person was doing the same thing every meeting. I was going to give my report, but my internet went down, so I can't give a really thorough report. I was going to give a report, but I felt sick. And that was red flag saying, hey, maybe he's bitten by the procrastination bug. Because what happens is when people that procrastinate, a lot of times don't even realize they're procrastinating. They're thinking of themselves as, oh, I'm going to do that report, but, I'm kind of hungry right now. I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to go get a bite to eat and I'll do it later. And then you come back, oh, I ate that meal. And this is just examples. I ate that meal. I'm going to just go lay down and take a quick nap. But then I'm going to get that report done. Take a nap. Next day, well, it's raining outside. The bed feels real good. I'm just going to lay here for extra. And you sleep a little extra. Then you get up. Oh, I got to run to the store because this relative or my friend needed me to help them with this. I'll get to that report later. And those little things over and over and over again, they make you miss little deadlines that you have in your mind. You miss those deadlines and you say, oh, I'm going to get it done. Oh, I'm going to get it done. Oh, I'm going to get it done. And then you start missing big deadlines. Those little teensy-weensy deadlines that you miss, that you kind of say, yeah, I'm going to get to it later. I'm going to get to it next day. You miss those, and then they come to a big deadline. And that's not just happening just in business, but it happens even in your health, your personal. Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch my diet the next day. Oh, I'm gonna meditate later. Oh, I'm gonna take this medicine that I needed. The doctor said I needed. I don't really have to take it every day. I'll take it, when I get to it. Those little procrastination, just that little teensy, it's not big things that throw you off. It's those little things. Oh, I want to get up early, but the bed feels so good right now. I'll just lay here for another couple of minutes. It's those little teensy-weensy things that throw you off. In the case of the project that I was working on with two other people, one of the people always had an excuse. Oh, there's always some issue. He couldn't give a report. And then as the project moved forward and we were really at a really big deadline, he missed the deadline. And from that person missing that deadline, that really collapsed our whole project. And I don't think the person was a bad person. He just kept procrastinating, kept putting things off, and he kept not making things have what I call a sense of urgency. There was never a sense of urgency. So when the project collapsed, he did the same thing. He collapsed. He wouldn't answer phone calls. He didn't answer texts. He just went somewhere else and said, okay, hopefully it'll resolve itself. But it did, but we have to move forward without this person. And this person actually lost his ability to work with other people in projects like that, lost his credibility there. So procrastination, in other words, in summary, just is a business killer. It'll kill your business. It'll kill your credibility. And with notary signing agents, this is how I see over the years how notaries have procrastinated and just killed their own business. Let's say they did a closing and they say, okay, I've done the closing. I'm supposed to take it to the FedEx or the UPS, but you know what? I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to go get something to eat. Okay, they go get something to eat. Okay, after that, now I'm tired. I'm just going to go home. I'll drop it off in the morning. They go drop it off. They go home and they're sleeping, and then they wake up and they say, I'm going to stay a little extra time in bed. Then they get a call about doing something, or their spouse needs them to do something, and they go do that. And they may get another general notary work call, or they say, oh, I had this doctor appointment I forgot about, because they were procrastinating and didn't write it in their planner. And their day goes on and they finally get to that FedEx or UPS, and guess what? They just changed their hours. It's closed. The pickup time is earlier. Now they have those people's documents for that extra day and that extra day. And I've seen people documents for at least 3 or 4 days before they finally take it to FedEx. And it's all about procrastination. You have to have a sense of urgency. And all of us have it. Even I have it, procrastination. And let me just give you some tips. I'll give you about 9 tips on how I deal with procrastination and how I try to overcome procrastination. Because the first thing when dealing with procrastination, you have to acknowledge that all of us deals with procrastination. You have to acknowledge that at some point, on some level, not all of us procrastinates as much as others, but all of us has some level of procrastination. So that's the first thing I have to deal with. I know at some point I procrastinate as a business owner. And what I have to do in order to overcome that is the first thing I do is break. Like if I have a large project, if I said I want to start a marketing campaign, or let's say I want to lose weight, or I want to run a marathon, or I want to run a 5K, or I want to increase my business by a certain percentage. I write down whatever goals I have. I'll set clear goals, and that's the first thing. Set clear goals for myself. And when I first started setting goals, I might set a goal for myself for a week. And then I move those goals as I start clicking and hitting my weekly goals. I set goals for, a month out. And then I start setting goals for a quarter, 3 months out. Then I set goals for 6 months out for myself. And then I start setting goals now at a year. And not only that, I set goals for a year goals, 5-year goals. I'm currently working through a 10-year goal plan that I have. And then when you get that, let's say, for instance, you may want to set your goals for 10 years out. You can break those down into pieces. And this is the second thing. So the first thing is setting goals for yourself before you do anything. It has to be here. It has to be in your mind what you want to do. So if I set a goal, a 10-year goal out, I break those in pieces, which I have. I'm working through a 10-year goal now. I break those into pieces, and I'm actually year six of a 10-year goal that I've set for myself. But yeah, you break those out. Let's break this down into, let's say you set a goal for yourself a year from now. It could be anything. It could be weight loss. It could be running a marathon. It could be increasing your revenue as a notary signing agent, as a notary entrepreneur, diversifying your business. So say you set that goal for a year, and let's just pick a goal of, I want to diversify my business and increase my business by 30%, increase my revenue by 30%. You break that out into quarters, like 3 months. In this 3 months, I might add another notary class, and I might add another specialty project like doing trust documents. I might add another, diversify my business by becoming a wedding officiant. You set your goals like that. You put them in like quarterly goals, and then you put them in monthly goals, and then you put them in weekly goals. So you set clear goals, clearly define what you need to accomplish, what you want to achieve, and set specific achievable goals, very specific. If you say, I want to increase my business by 30%, know what that dollar is. Know specifically where you want to go. If it's weight loss, I want to lose this amount of pounds. Be very specific about those goals. Here, the next step is, and this step 2, break those tasks into smaller steps. If you say, I want to achieve this goal in business, I want to hit this standard here, break them into smaller steps, because a lot of times when you say, I want to achieve this, let's say, for example, I want to go to Disneyland, for example. That's a goal that I want to do for my family. I want to take my family on a Disneyland adventure. I want to go to the Epcot. I want to go to Universal Studios. I want to go down there. And what happens is you can break that down. What's the cost? What do I need to do to get that cost? How can I increase my revenue to get that above and beyond my expenses? You break them into smaller tasks, and you break them all into those smaller tasks monthly, weekly, and daily, and you just work toward achieving those goals. So you break them down into smaller tasks. Large tasks can feel overwhelming. That large task of going to Disneyland, or going to Epcot, going to Universal Studios. it can feel overwhelming, but if you break them down into smaller tasks leading to a smaller task that will help you achieve that goal, because this is what I like to do. Like I said in previous podcasts, I have a planner, and I'll show you that. Planner that I write my little goals down each day, having my daily goals to achieve my yearly goals. And when I hit my goals, and this is something I do, and it's just, I don't know if anybody else does this, I just put a little check mark by things that I achieved there. It makes me feel so good. It gives me that charge. So I put that little check mark by there because I'm hitting those little smaller goals to get to that bigger goal. And for me, I write my goals down. It works best for me because if I'm writing them down, it does something to my brain. It says, okay, you have to do this goal. You have to, like this podcast, write down, okay, this week I'm doing this podcast at this time. And then I break that down into smaller goals. This is the topic that I'm doing the podcast on. This is the topic. I'm going to research this topic. I'm going to be ready when it's time to do the podcast. So now that we have the podcast, I'm going to have this type of camera ready. I'm going to have this type of lighting. I'm going to have this type of schedule. I'm going to schedule the studio for this time. That's what I mean by breaking them down into smaller goals, smaller achievable, small bites. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's how you do your goals, one bite at a time. Then you prioritize the tasks that you have. Identify the most important tasks and tackle them first. When I told you that I do a lot of general notary work, and sometimes I get tasks come in and says, like I just got a task right before I started this podcast. Hey, I need you at the hospital. I got a call. This person has a power of attorney, this and that. So I set that as a goal or task that I'm going to do. One of my priorities is setting that between this time of day and this time of day, I'm going to do those type of tasks at the hospital. And during my call to go to the hospital, I set up a priority list of, does the person have their ID? Does the person have their documents? Is the person of sound mind? Is the person going to be under the influence of drugs? And I have that priority task to ask within that mini task to save myself time and effort once I get there. So I'm not going there and the person is unprepared for me to go there and I'm wasting time getting them looking for their ID, printing off documents. So if that makes sense. So set those priority. You can have a task that you can set priorities within that task, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm making sense here. The other thing, this is number 3, eliminate distractions. Eliminate distractions. Identify what typically distracts you. What typically distracts me is my phone, maybe TikTok, maybe Facebook. You got to eliminate those distractions. You got to know that, first of all, acknowledge that they are distractions. That's the first priority within that task. Know what your distractions are. Maybe it's the TV. Maybe sometimes when I'm at home, I'll get so enthralled in news when news comes on. It doesn't care what news program's on. I'm very interested in how they do the news and what's the new news, local news and national news on. I get enthralled, but that can be a distraction for me. So know what the distraction is. Even social media can be a distraction, and remove and minimize these distractions during your work time. So eliminate distractions. Number 6, I think we are number 5. Create a schedule. Definitely create a schedule, and that's where you have tasks and you create goals, and you set your priorities within your goals and tasks and what you're going to do each day. So creating a schedule, and some people call this a map of life, and that's kind of what I call it, a map of life. Each week I have a schedule of what I'm going to do. I'm going to say I'm going to be here. From here to here, I may be at the gym. From here to here, I'm going to leave that area open for me working. From here to here, I'm going to be having that area for my family time, talking to my sisters, talking to my kids, talking to my grandkids, talking to my spouse. I set a schedule that I'm giving balance to each of that. I've seen a lot of notaries couples too, don't have that schedule, and they don't set those priority tasks within that schedule, and they are very off balance. But you want to set that schedule. You want to set time for your family time for your kids if you have kids, or grandkids, like I have grandkids. You want to set that schedule up for each priority in your life, if that makes sense. So create a schedule that helps you with not being procrastinating. Here's the other thing and I think this is number 6. Hopefully I'm counting right. Set deadlines. Set deadlines. The things that make sporting events so exciting isn't the touchdowns, isn't them scoring 3 points, isn't the soccer kicking that goal in soccer. The thing that makes sporting events so thrilling is the clock. The clock is the thing that make things so thrilling, because everybody's working against the clock. Everybody starts off 0-0, but then as the game progresses, no matter what sport it is, they're working against the clock. They have to have good clock management. And that's the same in business and personal. Setting deadlines. You're saying, I absolutely have to do this by this time. And then stick to that. Setting those deadlines really gives you that other quality that you need to have in business. Sense of urgency. Setting deadlines for yourself and sticking to those deadlines. Setting deadlines is a self-imposed deadlines can create a sense of urgency, making it harder to procrastinate. Setting deadlines, if you set deadlines and you stick to deadlines, it really makes it mentally tough for you to procrastinate. So setting deadlines. Here's the other thing. The next thing, rewarding yourself. Once you hit a goal, no matter how small, you reward yourself. Give yourself a reward after completing a task. The positive reinforcement can increase your motivation. One of the things I do, and this is just a very small thing, is after I complete a task, and it could be a very small task. It could be, okay, I'm getting up, okay, at this time, I'm going to the gym, I complete my little workout, and I just put a check mark in, went to the gym, complete this workout. And that just that's like a reward for me. It's like, wow, I've achieved that. And then those little rewards lead to more motivation to complete the other tasks. So set the proper reward for yourself. And then you want to practice self-compassion. If you procrastinate, don't be too hard on yourself, because that's what people are. They are very hard on themselves. When I know this gentleman who used to procrastinate, and then he gets so hard on themselves. But if you do those little things, set your goals, set priorities, set deadlines, break the task into smaller little elements, bite-sized elements, then you can have more compassion for yourself. Hey, I did that. Be grateful for every little thing. When you get up and your feet touch the ground, be grateful for that. Have some compassion for yourself. So don't be too hard on yourself. And the last thing, to help you get over procrastination, whether you're a notary entrepreneur, business owner, help you get over your procrastination. And I do this every day. And I even get into it more in depth in the fall, because we do vision boards and stuff like that. Visualize yourself being successful. Just take a moment, deep breaths, visualize yourself hitting that goal every day. Visualize knowing where you're going. One of my sons, he was working at his job and he was not happy, and he got into it with his supervisor, and his supervisor, went back and forth, and I sat down with him. I said, well, tell me, what does that lead to? Where do you see yourself? How do you see yourself hitting that goal? And that set him in a different perspective. He would have handled the situation a little differently. He said, if he just thought about, I'm here at this job that's going to lead me to here. And if he started visualizing 3 or 4 steps ahead, the hostile situation he was in at his job wouldn't be so hostile, because this is just a stepping stone to get me to here. I'm here, but I want to get to here. And if I keep looking at where I want to get to here, that's going to help me here, where I'm at right now. So visualizing where you want, whether that's a financial goal that you have for yourself or a health goal that you have for yourself, visualize what you have, what you want to achieve. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a 10-year plan that I set for myself about 6 years. I'm in 6 years in, and I also always have annual goals that I'm doing. So it helps me if I'm going through a rough patch, or because everybody gets down, even myself, everybody gets down when they have a rough day. But I'm always looking at, I can open up my vision board and say, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to achieve. And that helps me get to that next level. So hopefully this helps. Let me just break that down and summarize again the things I do to help me overcome procrastination. Break things into small tasks, set clear goals for myself. I prioritize tasks. I set the goals, and I have my goals, then I prioritize. And then sometimes I prioritize those goals that I have in there. I even have small priorities. So I set goals, break things into smaller tasks, prioritize my goals. I eliminate my distractions, which is social media. TikTok is a big one for me. I eliminate those. I create a schedule for myself and prioritize that schedule. I set deadlines. So important to set deadlines for yourself. I reward myself by doing my little check marks, and maybe even set myself up. One of my goals would be a vacation, and so that's a reward for me. So I reward myself. I practice compassion for myself. I try not to be too hard on myself. Sometimes that's a big challenge for me. Try not to be too hard for myself. And I definitely, and this is so important, visualize success, visualize that next step, visualize where I'm going in my next couple of steps, looking down the road 3 steps ahead. Hopefully you really like this podcast today. Hopefully this is beneficial to you. If you have any comments or you have any suggestions for other people, put them in the comments section down below. So happy to do this every single week. Love doing this. And next week, it's going to be even more exciting next week. So come again, share this thing in your groups, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.